If you crack first, Dave, it won't make you any less of a man.
I'm nowhere near cracking.
Neither am I, my friend.
Dave. And Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay?
But nothing!
You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance.
So just sip your sniveling little lip and haul your skinny ass out.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and we've got some Daredevil news coming out of Marvel Comics. Now, we are getting into that third week, so we should be getting the Marvel Comics November solicitations by the end of the week. So they're going to start trickling out some details and new series. And we found out that Daredevil under Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto is going to be ending, as we know, in November. But there's something else that's going to happen that's a little bit more unclear. I'm going to give my thoughts and maybe some predictions on that. I do want to say, you know, if you've been following the channel, or if you've asked me, like, Wes, I need a recommendation. Are there any good ongoings? Essentially, since this has started under Checchetto and Zdarsky, I recommended Daredevil from Marvel. It's been the best ongoing that they've had. It's better than Nick Spencer's Spider-Man, which I've enjoyed, but there have been a couple of moments that I've found very frustrating. I was very excited coming in on this. You know, Chip Zdarsky was coming off Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Marco Checchetto was coming off of some amazing work in Old Man Hawkeye. Something I would recommend all three of those. Although the art in Marvel 2-in-1 goes to crap after about 6 issues. So this was something I was looking forward to. It's more than lived up to the hype. And this is what Marvel Comics had to say as far as the release, the press release they put out. Over the last 2 years, superstar writer Chip Zdarsky has teamed up with artists such as Marco Checchetto, Manuel Garcia, and more to make Daredevil one of the hottest comic books on the stands. Throughout his groundbreaking work on the character, Zdarsky has delivered the most surprising era of Daredevil yet, including fascinating developments like Matt Murdock's imprisonment, Kingpin and Typhoid Mary's dangerous new relationship, and of course, Elektra taking over the mantle of Daredevil. And after 36 hard-hitting issues, Daredevil's legacy as a protector of Hell's Kitchen will never be the same. This November, Zdarsky's legendary run will reach its climax in an explosive final issue, but his acclaimed Daredevil saga is far from over. Very interesting things there. As I said, we just don't get runs like this with creators, and it hasn't only been Marco Checchetto, but he's been the primary artist. We're going to get up to 36 issues, 3 years together for Zdarsky and Checchetto. I love it. I wish we had more runs like this. I think it's definitely helped the continuity of the story, and definitely in the end, the sales on Daredevil have not been nearly as good as they should be, as far as the quality dictating it should be better. But I think because they've kept the team together, in the long run, they're going to reap the benefits when they're able to do trades, omnibus and stuff like that. Because I think that in the end, people will recognize that this is a very, very good Daredevil run. It's not the best because he's got Frank Miller out there, but this is one of the better Daredevil runs that we've had. And I do want to, acknowledge some of the other artists, specifically Mike Hawthorne, who had a Marvel exclusive. He's moving over to DC to do some work with Stephanie Phillips starting in November. He was really doing a lot of extra work for Checchetto and allowing him to continue on as a primary artist, not having to take entire story arcs off like he was early in the run. Hawthorne's been, illustrating different subplots that are happening on that. He will illustrate that, and Checchetto will do like the main story. It's worked out pretty good. So he's definitely contributed to it. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Jorge Fornes. He had a story arc early on. I think it was in the teens where he was the artist, and it was gorgeous. It was completely different than Checchetto, which I personally prefer, but I would love to see a Jorge Fornes, Daredevil run as the primary artist, because I thought he did a great job. Otherwise, there's been some okay fill-in artists here and there. There's one in particular that was kind of embarrassing. It looked like Matt was wearing a wig and stuff, and he was kind of walking on air. It was weird. But the art, for the most part, in this has been really good, and I think Marvel's going to reap the rewards for keeping these two together. And we've seen a lot of stuff, like as it mentioned in the press release. We saw Matt accidentally kill a criminal, dealing with that guilt, being confronted by Spider-Man, as well as Power Man, Iron Fist, over what happened. We've also seen Elektra con Matt into helping her steal $3 billion, I think it was. And then we had the Stromine feud between Fisk and Murdock, both kind of fighting with the Stromines as they were trying to take over Hell's Kitchen. Really interesting stuff there. There's the first time I've really ever seen Wilson Fisk scared out of his mind. I really like that that turn for the character. I thought that was interesting. We also saw, Matt end up turning himself in over the guilt of killing that person, and Elektra taking over the mantle and essentially buying Hell's Kitchen for Matt out from underneath the Stromine, so they didn't end up taking over. And that kind of all culminated in pretty much the best tie-ins to King in Black, in my opinion. Outside of Venom, Venom had some good ones, but those really weren't tie-ins. That's part of the story. But the Daredevil tie-ins to King in Black were really dope. And right now we've got Bullseye as like a random sniper just murdering people in the streets of Hell's Kitchen. We kind of found out recently. Not everything is as it seems. I don't want to give too many spoilers away what's going on currently, but if you haven't been reading Daredevil, definitely I would jump in now and finish this thing out because it's been so good. There are a few things that are sitting out there that they're going to have to wrap up. The last time they promised something really big was Daredevil One More Day, which was an annual, and they was like, this is going to change everything. That has not lived up to the hype. We did see the reintroduction of Matt Murdock, the alternate personality, where Matt used to kind of fake like he had a twin brother. He's real now, and we've seen him here and there, and he's played a part in it. There's a reason Matt's able to be in prison, and people still think he's out there I don't think he's practicing law, but he's still out there in the world because Mike is essentially, impersonating him. We also saw Wilson Fisk's new son that hadn't existed before introduced in. They haven't really done a lot with it. They've shown him here and there, but it wasn't the status quo changer that they kind of promised. Now, it allowed for Matt to go to prison, but I think they probably could have got away with it. So the last time they promised something big, I don't think they quite delivered. The other big thing that's sitting out there is we did have when Daredevil and Elektra decided to get together and she bought Hell's Kitchen for him. He's going to turn himself in. They're supposed to take down the Hand together, and there's this prophecy, one of them's the king, the other one's the queen. And in order to destroy the Hand permanently, by this prophecy that kind of outdates it or whatever, it's a very heavily hinted at that Elektra's going to have to kill Matt to make it happen. And Stick is fully aware of this, and he's kind of playing behind the scenes. We have seen nothing of that since it was introduced. That's just a subplot that's been sitting there. So it's definitely good on Zdarsky in introducing these subplots, and he's played some of them through. But there are some really important things that are just hanging out there that need to be addressed. And I imagine they're kind of culminating in this issue number 36. Now let's kind of get into the Marvel announcement, and I'll kind of break it down into a couple parts and talk about it. It said at the beginning, after a romance that's blossomed over the last 2 years, in Daredevil, Mayor Wilson Fisk and Typhoid Mary are prepared to tie the knot, but in a fashion truly fitting the House of Ideas, calamity is right around the corner for the happy couple. So we're getting a Wilson Fisk Typhoid Mary marriage. That's going to be issue 36. And a comic book wedding is like a pro wrestling wedding. They never happen like they're supposed to. Somebody always shows up and causes hell. Sometimes the marriage finally happens, but normally something happens that doesn't allow it. I didn't realize, maybe I'm dense and it just went right over my head. I didn't even realize that Wilson Fisk and Typhoid Mary were a couple. I just thought she was his really heavy bodyguard that took everybody out. I never ever it never dawned on me that there was supposed to be something more to their relationship than that she was his trusted advisor and heavy that goes out there and takes care of business. Did you notice that? Maybe I just wasn't reading into it enough, but I've read all the episodes or the issues, and I was like, they're getting married. I didn't even know that there was anything between them, but apparently they are a happy couple. Well, maybe not a happy couple, but they are a power couple together. So that one kind of came out of left field. I did not realize that. And then the last thing they say, also discover who will be left standing as Daredevil, Matt Murdock or Elektra Nachos. That's very interesting. Obviously, that's playing right into kind of what they were hinting at earlier with the Hand, taking the Hand down. She took over the mantle to prove to Matt that she could be trusted and he should join in on this idea and fulfill this prophecy to end the Hand once and for all. That's kind of what she's doing. And the idea, I always assumed that she was going to screw him over or try to at least, and she was going to turn on him. A lot of other people that have been reading the series thought that this was going to be like a redemptive arc for her to finally realize exactly what Matt Murdock goes through as Daredevil on the streets, have a new appreciation and respect for what he does. And then when it's time to do the swerve, to not do it. The swerve would actually end up being on Stick, who's kind of the one, at least I believe it's the one that's behind the scenes kind of doing this. So that's likely to what the big issue 36 is going to encompass as well. Very interesting stuff. This is what Zdarsky had to say. I know writers like to say things like, it's all been building towards this, but really it has. When I sat down to write this one, I knew that this issue was waiting and that it was going to drastically alter the lives of the Daredevil cast. Issue 36 is not an ending, it's a beginning. And they mentioned that a couple times, obviously, in the release itself, that this is all leading to something else, and it's going to be, I believe, Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto continuing to work together on Daredevil. And in the press release a little bit later, they say, keep your eyes on Marvel's social channels on Tuesday, October 31st, so 2 weeks from now, as we celebrate Marvel's birthday by revealing the next chapter of Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto's run on Daredevil. So they are going to continue working with the character. But in what sense? We will know for certain in 2 weeks. But this is the end of Daredevil. This run, it is going to end at issue 36, but it's going to continue on in some form or manner. I think there are two options, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit here. Option number one is that Elektra, after Matt, gets freed from prison, finally he trusts her. They decide they're going to take down the Hand together. Unbeknownst to him, one of them has to die for that to happen. And, Elektra turns on him. She becomes the full-time Daredevil at some point. Maybe she doesn't turn on him. She tries to save him, but he dies anyway. And she's the full-time Daredevil. And, we relaunch Daredevil, Elektra #1, or Elektra Daredevil #1, something of that nature. And that will be the new series. Here's the problem with that, though. And I think that is, I think we're kind of 50-50 on that one. The problem would be that you're also killing off Doctor Strange almost at the exact same time. You're also killing off, or at least they're hinting at it heavily, that Peter Parker is going to be killed off in Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I think that's a little swerve. I think it's actually going to be MJ. But you're killing off a major Spider-Man character. We've just killed off Scarlet Witch, and now we're going to kill off Daredevil and give the mantle over to Elektra. That's a lot of death, a lot of major characters as far as Marvel Comics go at one point. And we do know that Daredevil, under Charlie Cox, is returning to the MCU, well, at least in some form. He's going to be in, is it going to be in that Spider-Man movie or the Doctor Strange movie? I can't remember which one, but he's going to make his big screen debut. The actor that we had portraying Daredevil in the MCU, or not the MCU, on Netflix, the well-received Jeff Loeb Netflix series. Interesting. What do you guys think? Are they going to kill off Matt Murdock, and is Elektra going to take over the Daredevil mantle permanently? I think it could happen. I think it's 50-50 that it could happen. The more cynical take on something maybe they haven't been building to, but it would be very Marvel to do it, would be to reboot it for rebooting's sake. So they could get a #1 out in conjunction with Penguin Random House deal coming up, and they can get a Daredevil #1, pop a rating, pop a number, with 50 variant covers, and really pull some cash in and impress the new publisher. Or not the new publisher, but the new distributor that they've been saving a lot of things for. They delayed the Predator series. We've got Spider-Man rebooting. We've got a lot of stuff coming up that are going to push sales for Penguin Random House. And this could just be in conjunction with that to like I said, pop a number and do some good things. But I will agree, this has been a fantastic Daredevil run. This has been the best ongoing series from Marvel for 3 years. Well, 3 years. I think it debuted in 2019. So it'll be coming up on 3 years. 36 issues is a good, solid run. Checchetto and Zdarsky are a wonderful pairing. I'm glad they're going to be continuing on together. I don't know if it's legendary yet, but I guess only time will tell as far as the legendariness of this comic book run. But I certainly recommend it to everybody. If you've been down in the dumps and you can't find anything worth reading, and and the idea of Elektra taking over as Daredevil doesn't immediately like turn your stomach. I know a lot of people were opposed to it. Me personally, I think if you're going to replace Matt Murdock with another character to play Daredevil, Elektra has the skills to do it. She just doesn't have the motivation, right? So it's a different version of Daredevil, but at least she could do the stuff that Matt's doing, and some of the stuff she can do it better. We shall see what the future holds. We will know in 2 weeks exactly what's going on with Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto in the next chapter of their Daredevil run. But this is apparently what it's all been leading to. I don't think Mayor Fisk and Typhoid Mary are going to get married. I imagine they're going to WWE the wedding. Something's going to happen. And if I had to put money on it, if I had to put money on it, we're seeing them kill off a lot of big time characters. I say, Matt Murdock dies, Elektra takes over the mantle. It's just based on what we're seeing. But, it could be a lot of things. It could be the more cynical take that they're just rebooting it so they can reboot it to pop a number for Penguin Random House. But Chip Zdarsky, Marco Checchetto's Daredevil run ends at number 36 for whatever else they're going to do with the character next. I don't imagine it's an event. Normally I would say, well, they must be going up to an event. The series just never, unfortunately, had the sales to warrant an event. But, Dan Slott's Fantastic Four series probably never warranted an event either, and they got Empire. And so stranger things have happened, I guess. Definitely want to hear from you guys. Are you excited about this? What do you think is going to be the next chapter in the Chip Zdarsky, Marco Checchetto, Daredevil saga? What's happening next? I definitely want to hear from you guys. I think this is, somewhat exciting. I'm definitely going to be reading this comic. This is one that I'll definitely review on the channel. Maybe we'll do a retrospective on the just as it ends with Perch or something. Really talk about it because I enjoy doing that. And I don't know. That was fun. We'll see what else happens, and we'll definitely be getting a lot more information as the week comes out, as Marvel starts releasing all the teasers and new series that they have coming up for their November solicitations that will be coming out probably on Thursday or Friday afternoon. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews, and don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.